Hi, how are you doing? Alright, so you asked three important, in fact, they are valuable questions. You said we should quickly talk about gradient, we should speak about opacity, and we should speak about design optimization, and I should quickly brief you on what we call on how you can optimize basically design optimization and then alignment, right? Those four things: gradient, opacity, design optimization, and then alignment. So first thing I'm going to be talking about is the gradient. On Adobe Illustrator, on our designs, there are different ways you can implement gradient. Gradient is very interesting, you understand, and I can call gradient like an advanced tool, you understand, because there are different ways you can use your gradient. For example, I have a design here. If I were to go ahead to open this design for you like I had it in the first place, I'll go to open, go to my download, I'll go to my download, I'll just scroll down a little bit, you'll see something like unilag. This is the file that I was given. I was given just a normal JPEG file, a normal PDF file. Let me see if I can find it. It's around here. This is the banner. Can you see? This is the file that I was given. No, this is not the file I was given. Is this still below? Banner for. This is the design I was given. I'll go ahead to open this design. When I go ahead to open this design, this is the design I was given for me to work on, right? And with this design, I was able to come up with this. What have I done here basically? Let me go to full screen mode. The same thing with what we have had here. Let me go ahead. Let me see if I can check that from preview. From preview, can you see what we have here? Very simplistic. We have an image. This image is the one behind with the text. We have the text on top of it, and then we have the text, the small text on it, right? So we want to, this flyer is what this event coordinator created, and we are trying to change this or basically add our own information as one of the major sponsors for this event. So we have our own design right here. So we have the two logos here, the one for the school, the other one for the foundation itself, and then Costec added. What did we do? We carried that text, we bring it up a little bit. You see, we added our write-up. You understand? Just a short text, and then we have our sponsored by what? Autodex and then Costec, and we added the information that we have here, which is what the date, the time, and then the address. Looking at this design and this other design, you see that there is a clear contrast between the two, right? Yes. There is a clear contrast between the two, but you note that what was used to create this contrast below this design that we have here is basically what? Let me drag it out. Gradient. Can you see it's back to the image that we know before? If I go ahead and view that image, can you see that everything is lost? The details of the text is lost. The details of the address and the date is lost. The logo is also lost. Right? How can we optimize this design? Even I've not even done to become. Let me remove the other gradient too. This gradient is also here. Can you see this gradient? If I remove this gradient, what happens? I'll go ahead. You see that basically all the details is lost. And why is all the details lost? Because the background is very busy. Unlike any other simplistic design that you might have out there, this one has a lot of color, a lot of, you understand, a lot of color is actually on it, you understand. So it makes it very complex to make any design change to it. But if you are careful enough and you are able to implement your design rules, first, you're able to save the logo, like what adding a gradient below it, and does not even look like it. The gradient below looks as if it's part of the background. Do you get it? And then the next one that we have there is then we also Ctrl Z, we added a gradient below that to also add sense of clarity to the text that we have below. Do you get it? Do you get the gist? That's basically the power of gradient. You understand? So also to show you how gradient also works, I'll go ahead to this file, this design that I created here. We were told to also go ahead to create a banner for Costec that talks about one of our solutions and how they can reach us, you understand. So this is very simplistic. We have this image in the background, we have this text, this in short text, you understand. Take your digital project delivery to the cloud. Simple. Costec logo is right there on top. Our offices is here. Can you see that? These are our offices here, and then we have in the background. Can you see that we have our website, we have our email, we have our company mail, and then our social media network. But there's something happening here. If you are not a designer, you might not even notice, but you can see that there's something like a gradient here. If I take it away, what's happening to the design details, it's clear, you can actually read it, you understand, but you don't want to stress people. That's what design is all about. If I have to come and ask you, hello designer, what did you do here? I'm struggling to read this thing. If I have to ask you a question about your design, that means that design is not simplistic enough. That means that design is not it's not actually a design, like it's not solving any problem. You understand? So it needs, in looking at this design, some people might be like, wow, I can read this now, come on, this is very, very clear now. You understand? But we know that you can read it, but when I go ahead to Ctrl Z and put that background back there, now look at the difference between the two. Do you see? We are able to also, even we don't want to stress you. Immediately you get the information, it's clear. You understand? There's no distraction, you have that background blur, very, very soft to use, and you can see the blend. You can see the color gradient that was used here is different from what we use on the white. You understand? So the design actually determines what color do you use. It determines what color do you use, what color do you go for, and how do you even implement the gradient. So this is basically showing you the power of or how important or how well gradient can solve our problem as a designer. So also to take that up completely is okay. Now let's now talk about how do you even create this gradient in the first place, right? This gradient can be done in different ways. I can pick this up and delete this. You understand? So since I'm creating this design, I'm done with my design at the moment, and then I need to create this gradient again. There are different ways you can create your gradient. Let me show you the normal manual where you create your gradient. It's basically going to your create your shape. After you have created the shape that you want, can you see the shape that I want here? After the shape has been placed, I can go ahead to my gradient tool. There's a tool called gradient tool. Can you see that gradient tool here? Can you see gradient tool? When I click on the gradient tool, something happens, and it happened on our there's something called gradient panel here. I don't know if you can see it. Can you see gradient panel here? So on this, immediately I select my gradient. How do I apply my gradient? After selecting my gradient, you see my my mouse arrow has changed to a cross. All I need to do is to click on any object that I want to turn into a gradient. I'll just click on that object. Bam. Can you tell that the gradient is being applied? Do you get that? Yes, a gradient is being applied. Do you get me? Yes, sir. But you notice that the gradient that was applied is just like the basic gradient, black to white. Yes. Is that what we want? No. That's not what we want. Immediately, what I do, I can do it for any shape. Let me create another shape here. Let me create another shape right here. These three shapes that are here, I can go ahead to select gradient, drop on square, drop on circle, select the shape, go ahead and then drop my gradient on that shape, go ahead and select my box, and then drop my gradient on that box. Can you see that it drops normal black and white on everything? But that is not what we want, right? Now, to adjust these shapes into what I need exactly, that means there is a color blend that I need. How do I get my colors out of my design here? You can see that this is an image, right? Sure. Yeah? Yes. This is an image right here in the background. How do I get colors out of this image? I can decide I want to use this color of my text for my gradient, right? So let me go ahead and then select this my rectangle. Let me place it here, my box here. Let me place it here, and then I'll go ahead to what I would do, what I usually do, and I think as a beginner, that's what you should also do, because you will not stress yourself too much. You understand? I'll plead with you to go ahead and create any shape of your choice. Just create very, very small shapes, like 5 of them, or sorry, the number of the color that you need. Basically, I need 2 color. Ctrl Z. I need 2 color for my own. I'll go ahead to create 2 shape. I'll make sure that they are normal solid shape, they are normal color. You understand? They are normal shape. It's not a gradient. Can you see that? What do I want to do? I want to pick the first color, which is the good color. I will do for good, and I will do for my normal gray color that I did before, right? I use my eyedropper tool. I select the shape that I want to add color to. I go to my eyedropper tool, and then I pick the color that I want. Can you see that? I pick the first one, which is the gold, right? Or what is it called? Burnt brown, or yellow, whatever color you want to call it. You understand? So we have the yellow, right? This is not yellow actually, but this is like burnt brown or something. Let's just say gold. You understand? So we have I've picked the gold. Then if I want to pick red, what do? I just select red, because this is an image. So I'll just pick any color that I want from it. If I want the gold, I can pick the gold directly from it itself. You understand? But I want gray this time, and there's the gray here. Can you see the dark gray here? So I'll go ahead to where I have the dark gray. I'll pick it up from there. Can you see that? Perfect. This is what I want. Now the gradient that I want is for what? Gold, right? I'll pick my rectangle, put it where I need. Can you see that this is where I want my rectangle to be? I'll go ahead and what? Make sure that it is below the text. It is not on the text. The text that I have here, I'll select everything that is here. Select everything in the background. Are you with me? Remove what is in the background. I'll make sure that it is only the object that I want to move that is selected. Can you see that? Can you see the object here? So I'll go to Ctrl G to group them together. Right click and then arrange. Bring to what? Bring to front. That's what I want to do. That means it's going to be on top. I will now put the gradient under it. Can you see that it's now on top of the gradient? Before it was not on the gradient before, right? It's at the back. So now that I have my gradient below it, is this what I want? No. So I'll go ahead to go to my what? Gradient. Adjust my gradient the way I want it, right? Is it this way or is it this other way that I want it? Any way that I want it, I'll go ahead and create my gradient, right? On this black, this is where I do the magic from. I'll go ahead to this black. Normally, my gradient will come with default black and white, but after creating your gradient, after dropping your gradient on the shape, I cannot go ahead and draw out my gradient. I'll still make sure that I'm on gradient tool. I'll now draw a line on that my gradient shape. Can you see that it's creating gradient in any direction that I want? Can you see that it's creating the gradient for me? If I want it very, very small, it will create very, very small. If I want it long, when it's longer, the color blends better. If it's shorter, let me create something short. It will be very, very brief. Can you see that? If it's shorter, but when it's longer, what happens? The black will blend into the white smoothly. You understand? More smoothly. You understand? So that's how it works. So now, if this is what I want, what do I do? After creating my gradient from black to white, can you see the black is below here and then the white is right here on top? I'll now go to the white. I'll select it. I'll use my eyedropper tool to select what? The gold color that I want. Can you see that? I'll go ahead to the black again. Use the what? Eyedropper tool to select what? The gold color that I want. Can you see me? Now that I've used the same color from the two, is the gradient actually working? It's not working. Do you get me? Because it's the same color. If it was different color, let me select gray for this one that is below here. If it was different color, you will see the difference, right? Can you see that it's blending it together? But I want gold to gold. Why? Because what I'm trying to do is basically to fade out the gold, right? Yes. Now you understand what I mean by when I get here now. Now I'll go back to my gradient tool. I'll now go back to the first gold that I have in front of it here. I'll go back there. Can you see the opacity? Yes. It's currently 100%. We have basically jumped from gradient into opacity. That's why we are working on. That's why we are speaking about them together. I'll go back to opacity and turn it to what? 0. What does opacity mean? Opacity means transparency. Like, is this color see-through? If something is 100% opaque, that means you cannot see through it. If it's 20% opaque, that means you can see through it. In fact, it's even quite clear. You understand? If it's 90% opaque, that means you can barely see through it. You understand? But it's transparent a little bit. Yeah, not the brightness, the transparency, the see-through. You understand? So now I've turned off the first gold that I have in front. The gradient that I have here, I turn into gold. Can you see the difference? No, you are not seeing it. Are you seeing the difference?
Yes, sir.
Let me make it up full screen. The other one is quite deep. The other one outside is what? Faded out a little bit. Why? This is how you will see the difference. Because when I go back to my gradient, tool, I'll select the shape first, and then I'll go to my gradient tool. You can see the gradient right here, right? What will make you understand is, let me now drag from this black. Let me now drag from this gold that I have here. Let me drag it inside a little bit. Can you see that it's fading off? Can you see that it's fading off? Because this one opacity is what? 0. Do you get me?
Yes, sir.
If I drag it down, can you see that it's fading off? It's removing everything. If I put it around here, Can you see that? If I move this one up, this one is 100% opaque. That means it's deep. Can you see that? So you need to know how to basically blend it and have a high for design. When you have a high for design, you can tell when this is making sense or not. You understand? So basically, I will move this 100% up a little bit so that I can then bring more clarity to my design here. Can you see that? Or let me put it from this angle here. I'll tell you why this one will not work. This is not what we want to, but I'll tell you why it will not work. But I'll never use it first. So that, let me go down a little bit this way. Okay. Probably I should bring it around the middle here. Can you see that? So I'll take the code up a little bit, and I'll move this code up a little bit as well, and I'll go back to full screen mode. Can you see? Is it giving us what we want? Kinda, but it's not giving us exactly what we want. You understand? One thing you don't want to do when you are doing gradient, you don't want your lines, these boundary lines, to show. What do I mean by boundary line? This is what we mean by boundary line. Yeah. The image is very, very large. It's very, very large. You can see the quality, you can see the texture as I'm zooming in. You know that it's very, very detailed. It's a TIFF file. You understand? Very, very detailed image. You understand? So that's why it's dragging a little bit. But you can see that there's a boundary line here. If I go to my full screen mode and then zoom into that corner, there's a boundary line that shows this is where the gradient is. This is good. If you're a beginner, you can do this and go scot-free. But if you're a professional, you are creating a gradient that is showing this kind of line, it does not really tell much about you. Right? So now, how do we make this even better? You understand? Apart from using custom shapes for your gradient, you can even create gradient for what? For what do you call it? Free shapes. What do I call it? Custom shapes, right? I'll go ahead to delete this, and I'll go ahead to create a custom shape using my pen tool. You know pen tool, we spoke about pen tool before. I'll click on pen tool and I'll create a random shape around here. I'll create a random shape around here. Maybe not that far away. I'll create a random shape around here. Yeah. Can you see this? Now, maybe I will not use circle this time. I will use what? I will not use. This is linear gradient. Look at the gradient type here. We have linear gradient. Can you see my mouse here?
Yes,
we have the linear gradient. We have the radial gradient, and then we have the free form gradient. This free form, you can select multiple space. I will use the 3 for you to see the difference. So let's use the radial gradient now to see what result can we have. So I'll go ahead to the edit gradient, and I'll make sure that on the gradient that is inside, I'll make sure that the inside is one that is outside. I'll make sure that the inside is one that is outside. I'll make sure that the outside is one that is inside. Do you get it? So I'll go ahead, take this one outside a little bit, and then increase this one a little bit as well. Right? So if this is what I want, note the gradient is on top of the shape, and this is not correct. Yes or no? So I'll go ahead, take this down, select the shape that I've grouped earlier, right click and arrange, bring to front. Take the gradient back there, it will be below it this time. Right? Is this what we want?
Yes,
if I go ahead to we created freeform. It's kind of there, but you can still see some sharp lines. If you cannot see it, I'll zoom in so that you can see it. Can you see these sharp lines that we have here?
Yes, sir.
These sharp lines that we have here. This is not professional. Can you see the blend that is here? Smooth, fantastic. But we need to have that all round. You understand? You cannot have it just in one space, right? Okay. So that is another challenge. Using if you are able to actually walk around this, you can actually walk around this and get everything to blend. Actually, yeah, we can walk around this to make sure that everything blends, right? We can do that actually. So it's just for you to find a way to make sure everything works together, and basically select the shape, go back to the gradient tool. You can start adjusting some things, take this thing inside a little bit. In fact, if it's here already, if I go towards Shift F, okay, I think I'm still seeing some things, right? So, but I don't want these sharp lines is not what I want, right? This is not correct. But you can see that is basically, we have changed that same design that we have. It was linear before. I'll go back to that linear now. Select my shape, go back to my gradient, change it back to linear. This is the linear that we had before. and then let's go back to that freeform now. This freeform. Now on this freeform, can you see it drops point? This freeform, it drops a lot of points, right? I can drop a point here, move another point to this edge here, move another point to this edge here, move another point to this edge. Can you see that we had problem with this edge before as well? I'll continue to drop edges around, I think this point as well. Now when I'm satisfied with all the edges, I'll now go ahead to each of the edges and start dropping the color that I want to be there. What color do I want to add to this end, this color? Can you see that? If you want another color here, you can select, double click on this one, go and change it to red if you want. Are you with me? It will be blending those colors together. Are you with me? It will be blending those colors together. I'll go ahead to this one. I can change this one to, in fact I can change it to blue. I can change this one to what? The dark gray that we have earlier. I can change this one to what? The, let's say red. Can you see how everything is coming together? It's fantastic design. So I don't know if you have seen this design during research before. A lot of multicolors were being added together to form a background of a, let's say, background image. It can be a poster. You understand? It can be a website. You understand? So, but this is not what we want. Is this what we want? No. So what we want is the code all through. So I'll go ahead to the object, select the object once again, go back to my gradient, and now select the colors one after the other and change it to what? Gold. The other one to gold. The other one to gold. The other one to gold. Now that everything is good, what do I want to do? I will now make sure that the next thing that I want to do is make sure that the object is selected. Everything that is out there, I'm turning their opacity into what? 0. Are you with me? This one, opacity into what? 0. Opacity into what? 0. Opacity into what? 0. The only one that has 100% opacity is one right here in the middle. Right? Is one right here. And I can what? Continue to what? Even increase the what? The length, the spacing. Understand, to where it will get to, right? But because I've set that boundary that where all these guys are, I don't want any color there. 0 opacity. I'll now go back to what? Shift F. We are still having something. There's something here, right? I'll go ahead. There's one line there. So I'll go ahead to select my shape. This is a long distance. This is really not what we want, but let's just do it. So I'll go back to my gradient. Move that to this point. Can you see that? Now let's go to Shift F. Can you see anything like that? Like any line? I think I'm just seeing something around here, right? So basically, you can now tweak according to whatever you want, and then make sure you just get the design right, right? What I want here is this one to be around here, and I might have to increase the spacing as well, so that, and then I can move this one right in the middle a little bit, up a little bit, and then increase the spacing around it. Increase the spacing around it. Can you see that? So this is basically what we have. This is basically what we have. This is basically what we have. Did I delete that? Do you get me? So this is basically what we have. This is what we have been able to work on. Right? Yes, so if you go back to the full screen, you see that basically we are trying. There's something here if you look at it very well. But you can see that you can get the concept. If I work on this, I can make this work. Right? Yes, but this is perfect. This is working nice. This is working nice. In fact, you can use this if you want. You understand? But in gradient, even it goes past. It extends beyond this part. You understand? Using the gradient tool. This is basically what the gradient tool for now. In what Autodesk Adobe Illustrator will give to you as your gradient. This 3D gradient, linear, radar, and then what's this other one? The last one on the list, which is what is it the freeform gradient? It's not even showing me. Come on, linear, radar. Wow. Freeform is actually freeform gradient. Now, cool. Those are the three that Illustrator will provide for you, and they are capable. If you can use this 3D well, you are good to go. Regarding anything, looking at this design that we have here, you can know that this is actually a linear gradient, right? Very simplistic and applied, right? And if you go ahead to do what gradient as well, you see that from this top here, opacity is what? Can you see that? That will make it to blend to what? 0, to no color at all. Do you get it? So I'll go ahead to Ctrl Z. The same thing goes for this one. This one as well, if I go up, is this gradient? Let me see if this is gradient. This is not gradient. Now, if I don't want to use gradient, but I still want to achieve what I call gradient, what do I do? Most of the time, there's another way to go about it. And that is basically what? Going ahead to what? Creating, Ctrl Z. I can even use this other shape that I have here already. Can you see the shape that I've created earlier? I'll take it up a little bit more, right? I'll make it a solid shape of that gray that I want earlier, right? Is it covering the entire shape that I want? This shape that I want below here. Fantastic. The next thing I want to do is what? Go to my what? Effect. Go to my blur, and I'll go to my what? Gaussian blur. When I go to Gaussian blur, can you see what is happening? It is something similar to gradient. Cool. So then I can adjust the radius here to make sure that, can you see when it was here, it was giving me that boundary. You can see those traces boundary here. If I zoom in clearly, can you see the boundary around these edges? There's a boundary here, it's showing that boundary line. But if I take it back a little bit, adjusting the parameters in terms of the radius, it basically blends everything in. Now that everything is blended in, I'll go to what? Okay. If I go to what? Full screen mode, is anything, can you see anything like boundary here? This one is even perfect, more than gradient. Actually, the gradient also works, but this is even faster. This is the lazy man show. Right? I use this a lot, especially when I know that okay, this will be complex. I'll just really create a geometry around it, give it my Gaussian blur, and I'm good to go. Do you understand, or do you want me to go back on that? Should I go ahead and recap that? You can do this with different shape. I can delete this. I can go ahead again. What do I want to do? The first thing I want to do is what? Create a shape. I go to my pen tool, and then I'll create a random shape around this object that I want to place background under. I can go ahead and make it even fun. You can do whatever, basically. You can do whatever around the shape. And then when I close the shape up, I have a solid shape, right? But note, this shape has to be below the text. I'll right click on the text, arrange, and then bring it to front. When I bring it to front, that means the solid shape can stay behind it. Are we good to go? Now, select the solid shape, go to my what? Effect. What do I go to under effect again? Blur. Under blur, what do I go to again? Gaussian blur. When I go to Gaussian blur, you can see that it applies my previous command on it, and I'll click on what? OK. Immediately I'm satisfied. You can adjust the parameters as long as you want. And immediately you click on OK, and you now see that there's something here that I need to change. I'm still seeing some traces. What do you do? Make sure you locate there's a palette called property palette. This is my property palette here. On my property palette, there's something called appearance. Under appearance, can you see Gaussian blur that we applied? If I don't want it anymore, I'll click on delete bin. If I click on delete bin, automatically it's loading. It will take it off. It will take it off my shape very soon. Are you with me? It's loading. It will take it off the design to turn the shape into what? A solid shape back. You get me? Because we applied an effect to it, right? So I'll go ahead. It's still loading. Is it still loading? So you can see basically that's how we achieve what we have here, right? But what I will advise you to do is, please, whenever you want to apply gradients, whenever you want to apply, Gaussian blur to your design instead of what's it called, gradient. Gaussian blur is heavy. It's an effect. Can you see that it's found under effect panel, under effect menu bar here. You understand? It's under effect. It's very, very heavy. So sometimes it can crash your Illustrator file if you are not careful. So I would advise you to always save your design first, and then go ahead and use your Gaussian. And should I call it a error, or should I say one thing about Gaussian blur is that it's for a single shape. If I decide that I'm not using gray this time, I want to use red, I'll just go ahead and I'll pick my red. Can you see that? If I decide I'm not using red again, I want to use this gold itself. I'll go ahead and select them. I want gold. Can you see that? It's a single color. You cannot select after using gradient. Now you now want to use gradient on it again. You are playing. You get it? So it does not work that way. If you want to use any other color, you can just pick the color straight up. It will use that color. It will blend it automatically because you already set the parameters at first. Do you get it? So just make sure that you have your design saved and the likes. That's basically talking about what gradient and opacity, right? Yes. Now, there is one thing that we need to also talk about opacity. Let me go ahead and create a single shape like this, and then I go ahead and place my gradient on it. Are you with me? When I place my gradient on this shape, what happens? Okay, this is shape, gradient, one linear gradient. Can you see that this is my linear gradient here? I change this color that is below here. I want to change it to what? Pink. I want to change this color that is here. I want to change it to what? Blue. Right? Can you see this gradient? Fantastic, right? Let me select the blue gradient now and change what? The opacity into what? 20. Can you see that? Let me put them on the background so that you can see the difference. Can you see that it's still there? The blue is what? Still there, right? Go back to my gradient, change it to what? 30. Can you see that it's getting deeper? If I go ahead to what? Change it into what? 50. Can you see that it's getting deeper? If I go ahead and make it what? 80. Can you see that it's getting deeper? That is, it's getting opaque. That's what I'm saying, right? If I go ahead and what? Select what? 90%. It's getting opaque, right? If you now make it 100%, that means it's completely opaque, right? But the same thing goes for, if you change it to 0, what happens? Everything goes off from there, right? It becomes transparent. This is how you create your design. Imagine this design as it is at the moment that is not so interesting. If I were to turn this on the other end, expand this a little bit, take it to the sky a little bit, take it up a little bit, select everything that is here, deselect everything that is here, select the logo and bring to front, make the logo color white, and then go to what? Full screen view. The text is still below the gradient, that's why it's dull, right? I'll select everything that is here, deselect everything that is there except the text, right click and what? And bring to front. It's because of the gradient, the good color is not shining anymore, so I'll make it white as well. And I'll go ahead to what? Can we achieve different things like ASAP if you know what you are doing? Do you get it? So that's basically this design. In fact, we have come up with another design that is even more better than. Do you get it? Just exploration and what? Trying to make things work. But I said something that is basically about gradient and opacity. Is there more about opacity? I think that is basically what I'll be sharing with you at the moment. The next thing that I have here is what? Design optimization and what? Alignment. Let me talk about alignment first. Alignment is basically, can you see what we have here? There's something called white spacing. I want you to read about it. White spacing. White spacing is what we have here. Let me show you white spacing. There's something called what is it called? Margin. We have something called, write it down. We have something called margin. We have something called white spacing. And we have something called what is it called? Bleed. Right? I'll go back to escape this design. Is there a bleed on this design? Is there a bleed on this design? No, we don't have bleed on this design. Right? Cool. So what I call margin is basically, I could have put this logo around this end and go ahead and sit on full screen. Is this making sense? Compared to having it right here, leaving a margin on top, and then checking out the design here. This text is too close to this object. If I were you, I'll take it up a little bit, and then I'll recheck this design. I've left a margin below here, so white. Are you with me? Yes. If I want to talk about white spacing, I'll go ahead and want to take this guy off, remove the image as well, remove the image as well, Take everything here, take them out. Go ahead. What I have here is white spacing. Why do I call it white spacing? Because as it's empty, does it make the design incomplete? No. The only thing that it's doing is what? It's giving the design space to breathe. You understand? It's giving you space to what? Interpret and what? In digest this design that is here. You understand? It's giving you some space, basically, for you to what? Understand and just basically go through this design and what? Enjoy it. You understand? Because it's not bombarding you. Do you get me? It's not bombarding you. It's giving you a breathing space. This space is called white spacing. Are you with me? It's called white spacing. It gives you a breathing space. It helps you, like, it looks, compared to when we have the text around it before, it was more busier, right? But now looking at it here, it's giving you, basically, that's the English I will use, breathing space. It's giving your design space to breathe, you understand? To basically shine, you understand? To glow, to flex, you understand? So that's the breathing space. White space is like breathing space for your design. And I'll go ahead to open another design that we have worked on earlier. I'll go to open. I'll go to, which one do I work on? Reset. Escape poster. I think I made a poster this year. Ignore. I don't think so. Let me open something else. Something nice. We celebrated Women's Day. Does that have margin? Does that have breathing space? Let me check. There's a design I want us to use actually. Take this off. Take this out. Take this off too. This out. I'll go to file. Open one more time. Now make sure that I use let me see if I can see something from this too. I should be able to see something from this too. So we have white spacing and then we call something what? Ignore. White spacing and then we call something what?
Margin and grid.
Margin, right? So I've showed you what margin is. A margin is basically giving you cannot align your text or your design or your object to the extreme end. Let's check from this end that we have here. You cannot just place. You need to put something like a gap. You always see that. You always see that from the design. It has to be there. You understand? It cannot be on the end itself, right? There has to be something like a space. You get it? There has to be something like a space where the design can break from. Let me see this. Oh, most of the design are gone, especially the images. Most of the images are gone. So white spacing, when I'm talking about white spacing, you'll be expecting to see something like white. No, it's not compulsory it's white. It's just a gap, an empty area, you understand, that contributes to your design, but not necessarily with text. You understand? So margin is very, very important. I cannot overemphasize that. You need to always place a margin to your design. What I want to use to explain that is this flyer that we were working on earlier today. This is what the training that is forthcoming. What is that training again? Escape. Sorry, it's not escape training.
Front end.
Front end. This is the training here. I'll go ahead to open this. I told you we created two designs for them. You understand? We had one we created earlier, but you were like, oh, make some correction. Oh. do some things. Oh. So now I'll go ahead to preview this. This is what we have currently. Can you see the margin at work? There's a margin here. And when you are talking about margin, every object will align to the first object on the list. What's the first object on the list of this design here? What's the first object on the list on this design that everything is aligning to? Don't waste time. This is the logo. The logo on top here is the reference point where everyone is taking their designs from. Right? So let me go ahead to remove this. This is the first design we created for them. Right? This is the first design we created. Right? It has its own margin as well. But like I told you, design is not one size fits all. You understand? Design is not one-way traffic. But when you understand the rule of a design, or when you understand the rule of design, basically, you can now tweak. You can decide to even break the rule if you want. For example, everything is supposed to align to this side now. Is this circle and this text aligned to this side? Is it aligned? Is it in alignment with all these ones here? No. Does that make it wrong? No. But because you understand the rule, now you can break it. You understand? When majority of the object and the elements of this design are aligned, they are fine. If you are picking a reference point from this end of this circle here, everything is coming down in that reference, right? Everything is coming down to that reference. If I take this and put it here, it has to be an intentional action. It's not supposed to be a mistake, right? If you do it intentionally, then it becomes creative, right? But if it's a mistake, then it becomes very, very poor, right? This does not mean that this is wrong, but this is actually telling you that this is very, very creatively put together, right? So looking at this design here, alignment is very, very important. I can't overemphasize that. You need to always have your design aligned. I cannot have this text. Look at this design here. Let's see this on a full view. This is a full view, right? I will not place this logo. Place it here. Place it here. Around here. Right, place it here. And bring it down a little bit because I'm so creative. I'll not take this one. I'll take this object here. This one will be right here. I'll put this one, put it here. So these two objects, they will align with it because I'm very, very creative. Now you see that? And then I'll go ahead to make sure that this one that is here is what? Also around this end. You understand? Now, are you enjoying it now? Is this making sense to you? Is this design making sense to you?
Yes.
How is it making sense to you? Are you sleeping?
No.
You are not learning anything. Is this design making sense to you?
It is not.
How is it not making sense? You don't even know what you are saying. I asked you this question like 3 times at this on a row. Is this design making sense? You said yes. Is this design making sense? You said yes. Now that I question your answer, you are not telling me that it's not correct. How do you even know what you are saying? Do you even know what you are saying? I mentioned something earlier. You need to have eye for design. Sometimes you don't need anybody to correct you. Whenever you are looking at the design, you see that this is working for me, this is not working for me. How can this be working for you? What is aligned here? This object is not aligned, and this is not creative. This is not a creative work, right? And you're saying you are good to go. So I'll basically leave this. I don't think you need any explanation regarding this. So that's how it works regarding alignment and margin. If you need any further explanation, we can buttress more on this point. So regarding that again, we have something called design optimization. Now this is where the talk starts making sense. I gave you this design, basically this design that is here. I sent it to you. I told you that, see, look at this design that we have here. This design is well put together, it's very, very nice. But now the client has told us to add some things to it. Right? Please add something to this, remove this, add something to this, remove this. That means the design has made, the customer has made some correction. I sent it to you, and what you made as your correction is this. Where are you? This is you. I'll go to what? Open. And then this is what you sent to me as a final design after you made your own correction. Now, look at what I sent to you. Look at what I sent to you. Look at what you sent to me. Is this design working for you?
Yes.
What do you see?
The alignment.
Apart from the alignment.
The image is distorted.
Is to what?
The image
Is what?
is distorted.
Distorted as well.
Yeah.
I didn't even notice that. I don't even know if it's distorted or not. Apart from that, what else do you see?
Think down.
That's not all. You need, I don't know if you are studying design. Do you need materials? I'll share some things with you that I think will help you. I shared the presentation file that I shared with you the first time, talking about the design element and parameters and decisions. The type of design that we create, you understand? The what do you call it? Compositions, hierarchy and the likes, symmetry and the likes. Do you see how the presentation? Did you read through them?
Yes.
You just read through them. I don't think you studied them. So first, you vandalized. You what? In fact, you broke the ground rule, which is what? Alignment. If your design is not aligned, don't even bring it to me first. In the first place. This design you have. So to correct the mistake that you've done, let me show you exactly what you have done wrong before we now make the correction. The customer has given you actually, like I said earlier, the customer has given you these corrections to make, to add what? This instructor profile to it, right? And that is why, and this account details. That is making this design. Let me tell you the first error here is what? Can you see alignment here? Can you see the margin rather? Margin, there's a margin in this design, right? Can you see a margin around this design? Before you get to the what? The extreme end, there's a margin here, right? And there's what? Alignment. These texts are aligned together. Can you see the topic and the right up below it? Everything are what? Aligned, using the reference of the what? The logo, right? I'll go ahead to yours again. I'll go back to the design that you made. Can you see that? Where's the margin? The margin is lost. And what? I thought it was very creative, but I see that the margin is still here, right? So you lost the margin here, and also the alignment. Can you see that the alignment is not there? Look at the instructor that is here. It is not aligning with what this write-up that is below here, right? Basically, you lost the alignment and the what? The margin here. Another thing that you see there is what? Looking at this design that we have here, there's a breathing space. You can digest this design as you are looking at it. It's easy to digest. Now, on your own end here, it is now bulky. Text everywhere. Everywhere is bulky. Everywhere is busy, right? I can do the same thing that you've done earlier. You just added these details, right? I can add the same details on my design, on this design, and it will not be as text heavy as yours. I'm adding the same volume of information that you are adding as well. You get me?
Yes, sir.
I'm adding the same volume of information that you are adding as well. You understand? And it will not be as text heavy as yours. How do I do that? I'll make the correction starting with my design here. This is where you started from as well. But you can see my image here. Because I thought I had space, it was very, very big. I'll select my image that is here. I'll reduce it. I reduce it selecting both the small circle and then the big circle, holding my shift key and then one of the corner of the handle here. I'm scaling it proportionally so that it can scale both ways. Can you see that? Immediately I'm satisfied with the scaling of this object, I can even align it to the side a little bit so that it can. And look at it now. Is the object smaller? Is the image smaller?
Yes.
Have I lost the information on the image? No. Do I have more space to work with now?
Yes.
Are you with me?
Yes.
Fantastic. That's the first point. I can even go more because you can see that there are some redundant space here. What is this wood for? You understand? I can take this in a little bit more to where I have the shoulders, right? And then I have something like this. Now I have this empty space to now fill in my design. Are you with me? The next thing I'm going to go ahead to do is what? Bring in this topic, take it upward a little bit. I will not take it very close to the logo. No, it does not work that way. And I think you did that as well. It's very close to the logo, right? I won't do that. I'll go ahead and make sure that this font, this text, this topic is around here, right? Are we good to go?
Yes,
Is it still readable?
yes, sir.
Fantastic. Cool. So I'll go ahead again. What do I need here? About training comes first. You don't put about instructor before about training. This is about training. And notice, between the topic and the right up below it, there is a space. There is a margin. Are you with me? There is a margin. There is a gap. Look at your design here. From this instructor, where is the margin between about us and where is the margin between? Everything was just choked together. Look at the account number and the Monday to Friday. Where is it? You lost all the information. So I'll go ahead place the about us around here, leave a margin around that corner, take this right up to it again. This one can be very close because it's part of what about us. Are you with me? Nudge it down a little bit twice. I can leave this guy here. Are you with me? I can leave this guy here. I can move something inside that space, which is what? Who are the target audience? Are you with me?
Yes, sir.
I can move who are the target audience into that space. Are you with me? Now, what do I want to add to it? I want to add what? The profile for the speaker, for the instructor, for the training coordinator, right? I can do that in different ways, right? I'll reduce this text a little bit. So I want to make sure I have something like a background to work with first. Okay, let me do that with since I have a circle going on, I'll go ahead and select a circle. Let me select the circle with the line around it. I'll place the circle with the line around it here. Are you with me? I'll call this, let me remove the circle around it actually. So I'll leave the circle there. And then what do I want to add there? I'll bring something like this here. What do I want to do? The instructor's name. I'll call it Ibrahim Ayomide. Right? That's the instructor's name. And then what is the role of this instructor? What is his post? I'll make that what? Web developer. Right? But note, the name, what's the font size for the name? The font size for the name is 12. The font size for the what? Body text, the description is 12. It cannot be the same 12. So I can take this, I can notch this up a little bit. Since 12 is our major one, I'll make this full name, I'll make it as bold as the title that we have here. Right? I can just make it I can just reduce it a little bit. Right? And then make sure this one is also, let's make it around that 10. Right? Sorry, 10. And then I place it under it. Can you see that we have something like an hierarchy here? We have something showing the name first, and then the what? The role or the post of this person. Are we good to go?
Yes.
Now, we need the write up that shows about the instructor. I basically duplicate what we have over there, bring it down a little bit. And now let me copy what you have on that first one. I told you there are different ways to work with this. For example, looking at this text that we have here is too bulky. First, I can go ahead, because I'm the one making the design, I know that this text is too much, right? I can go ahead and go through the text and see what is redundant. You understand? Sometimes people just want to put some unnecessary information in this write-up. So I'll do that right away. Alright, so basically this is where we are now. You can see that we have been able to bring in the streamline what we have as the description of the instructor details, right? You can see that we have been able to add also the date and time, right? And then we have been able to also account details, right? These account details can even come down a little bit. I can decide to scale this guy down a little bit more, right? make this one bigger. The text is smaller, but I can make this text bigger, right? Is it training cost? I just put cost. Let's put training cost, right?
Yes.
I'll just make this text bigger so it's full, it fills up everywhere. Alright, that's cool. We don't even have a problem with this one actually. So I'll select the 200,000 so it's different, it's bright, it's catchy, people can actually see it quickly. But I can make it white. Just change this one to what? That bright orange color. Does it make sense? Nah. Ctrl Z. Right, I'll change this guy to what? Okay, I can leave that. I could just drop this tool there. Now make sure that it's capital too. What do I mean by capital? I can basically come to this one and make it a capital font. So training costs, I think we are getting there now. Do you get me? So training cost is right here on top. We have the text below it, and then T. Okay, so we can, this one can come in more, right, like this, so that this text can be aligned directly to the side here. Yeah, right? So this is the guy. This is the guy we are looking for. But now, there are still some things we can do really. If you have more time, you always see some correction that you can do. I'll just go ahead to call this what? Bank details, right? Bank details. Right? Bank details, and then we have account name, account number, account name, which is what? Costec. And then we have the last of what? Do you even want this idea about Nigeria? Alright, cool. So this is GT Bank. Basically, I've been able to add all the information that you have. Sorry. Basically, if I have more time, I will have been able to do more. But recording is becoming bigger and longer, right? So does this logo again? Like I said, this logo needs margin. Oh, I can even change this logo itself. Where is the banner itself? Where is the banner? Banner. I've changed this one. I can go ahead and Ctrl Z now. Ctrl Z. 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 Delete this. This is what I want. Ctrl C. Come back here. Ctrl V. Pick this guy up. Make sure it's aligned. Ctrl Z. Make sure it's aligned to this end, and then scale it from there. Right? Maybe I can bring it down a little bit.
The address 20 training venue.
The training venue is what? 23 Wall Street. So this is what we have been able to come up with in terms of our correction. I don't know if you have to scale this guy down a little bit more, or take this guy in a little bit more. I don't know. We have to work on something there. You understand? Because this logo is not breathing as well as it should. Maybe up a little bit to this side a little bit, and then let's see. Not really giving me what I want. I'll select it with this one, align it. Let's see if it's going to make that work right there. Properties, align to the side. Now let's see. I think it's giving me something I want now. Now this is what I want. Alright, I think there's something here that is not working well. Take this down a little bit. Yeah. So now this is what, let's say this is what we are able to come up with in such a very short time, and we are able to come up with this. I think this is not bad. Do you remember that? So now You know that on this space here, we need to have the image of the instructor. Do you still remember? Let me go. Let me find.
Okay, his picture.
Of course,
Yes.
his picture needs to be there. That's why we put it there. So I'll just put one random picture there. You know, we have one friend. I'll use this guy instead. This is another guy that I love so much. Some people will help you without knowing you. Those are these guys. This guy is another YouTuber that does that. Can you see? Use the picture and then we are good to go. Basically, this is talking about what design optimization, alignment, and I was talking about opacity gradient. Thank you very much. See you next time. Cheers.